Good evening, everybody. I'm sorry I was on mute. Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's safe, healthy, and wise this evening. We're going to begin the Committee on Finance, the City Council of Providence's Committee on Finance. It's Thursday, November 12th, 2020. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Chairman Igliozzi.
Present.
Vice Chairwoman Ryan.
Present.
Councilman Castillo.
Present.
Councilman Anthony.
Present.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
No, we have you, Councilman Anthony. It's Councilman Taylor.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. I couldn't hear.
We have you. Let the record. We also let the record reflect that Kenny Shabrini, our city solicitor, is present, and we also have Councilman Goncalves present too. Okay, and Gina Costa is present. Ernie Almonte, our consultant. Okay, and Doris De Los Santos is also present at this time. All right, so let's first, before we move forward, by the way, I'd like to, if we could do a quick moment of silence in honor of our veterans. Yesterday was Veterans Day, and I just think it's only appropriate that we all just take a moment just to reflect upon the men and women throughout the beginning of this great country who sacrificed their lives and their families' lives to create this great country. Recently, I just read a memoir from George Washington, a great individual who was a founding father of this great country, talked about when they began the process to create the colonial army. People as young as 15 years old was brought into the army to defend this country. It's remarkable. I mean, the call to arms to create this great country of liberty and justice for all is remarkable. And you read how people sacrificed even back then for an idea that did not exist in the world, a democratic republic. This idea of a republic like this country did not exist. Most of them were monarchies and dictatorships and run by tribal leaders. And these founding fathers got together and decided to create this unbelievable experiment that didn't exist anywhere in the world, any time in the history of the world, and they did it. Against, by the way, at the time, the biggest superpower in the world, which was Great Britain. But during the years, of course, subsequently, men and women of all ages and races and creeds and nationalities have volunteered or in some cases, were even drafted and to sacrifice and put their life on the line for this great liberties of this country. Even today, as we mentioned earlier, now people actually volunteer. It's a volunteer service, and the fact that they are willing to do that to support and protect this great country and create democracy across the world, and considering what's happening in Hong Kong with China oppressing the democratic process there and trying to once again have communism and socialism rule the day, we're in trying times, and I think it's important to reflect upon the veterans that have passed, the veterans that have served, and the men and women who are serving today. So if we just take a quick moment of silence to reflect upon them, I'd ask everybody. Thank you all. Let the record reflect that Councilman Chief Taylor is present also. Okay? So if we can go quickly first on a couple items, and then we can get to some of the folks here. Can we have a motion to continue item 1 and 2 at this time?
So moved. Second.
By Councilman Castillo. Discussion? All in favor? Aye?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Let's take a motion, take some items out of order. Can we go to motion to take item 4, 5, and 6? I believe out of order.
Second.
By Vice Chair, by Councilman Taylor. Councilman Castillo. Discussion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, Madam Clerk, you read items 4, 5, and 6 into the record, and then I believe we have someone from the Finance Department, I believe, to talk about what this is. Madam Clerk?
Number 4, certificates from City Assessor, number 45X and 46X, recommending the same be canceled pursuant to the provisions of Sections 14 and 15 of Title 44, Chapter 7 of the General Laws of the State of Rhode Island, 1956, as amended. Number 5, certificates from City Assessor number 47Y and 48Y, recommending the same be canceled pursuant to the provisions of sections 14 and 15 of Title 44, Chapter 7 of the General Laws of the State of Rhode Island, 1956, as amended. Number 6, certificates from City Assessor number 49Z and 50Z, recommending the same be canceled pursuant to the provisions of sections 14 and 15 of Title 44, Chapter 7 of the General Laws of the State of Rhode Island, 1956, as amended.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I think we have someone from the, is there someone from the Assessor's Office, is that right?
Yes.
What do we have? Yeah, Lisa Parry, so why don't we have the young woman be sworn in, and then we can go from there, okay?
Elise, can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony that you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and title for the record.
Elise Perry, City Assessor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, City Assessor, right? City Assessor, yes. Good evening. So, once again, our annual, what do you call it, I guess, looking for the, forgiveness of taxes, I guess, in this theory, right? So, why don't we just, it's 4, 5, and 6, I'm going to take them all. I guess we'll go the first one, I guess, which is, I believe this is the tangible tax, is that right? Am I reading this right? Oh, no, real estate tax, right? Abated?
Yep, 45X. Is that the one you're looking at?
Yeah, 45X. So, can you just give a general overview? I guess we're looking to abate $1,161,835.91.
Yes, that's correct. So this first certification sheet 45X, these are abatements that took place between October and December of 2019. So actually over a year ago now at this point. There is a summary at the end of the spreadsheet that you have that summarizes them by reason. So these are all standard abatements. They were either reductions due to an appeal, a board reduction, a homestead reduction, and in some cases a settlement reduction. So you'll see on the summary sheet, the bulk of these, let's see. The bulk of them here were first appeal, PRA abatements on there. So those properties that the PRA elected to invoke their exemption on were on there. And then in the settlement agreements. A copy of any of the settlement agreements are in the rear of this packet.
Okay.
So the total amount here is $1,161,835 for the real estate.
Great. And then part of this package, I guess, is motor vehicle. Is that correct?
Yep. At the end of the packet, motor vehicle amount is $4,504.74. These ones here, usually there's a correction from the DMV. The vehicle was a total loss, something like that, where we did have to abate the taxes for those as well. Okay. Or sent to another municipality.
All right. I also have to reflect that the city treasurer is present as well as the internal auditor. Any questions or comments by committee members about this item?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So let's move on to item number 5.
So item number 5, that is certificate number 47Y. These are abatements that go through January through March of 2020. The real estate amount on there is $640,369.82, and the motor vehicle amount is $5,388.08. Again, standard abatements, homestead reductions, settlement agreements are attached to this. Some of them are older settlements, but the credits were due over, a certain period of time, which were reflected in this certificate.
Okay.
And the third certificate. Oops, sorry.
Yep. Go ahead. Any questions on this? All right.
No, Mr. Chair.
Continue, Madam Assessor. Madam Assessor, item number 6.
Item number 6 is certificate number 49Z and 50Z. 49Z reflects the real estate for a total abatement amount of $180,800 $39.23, and the motor vehicles reflect an abatement of $5,822.16. These are through April through June 2020. I do want to note that all three of these certificate packets are reflective for the prior fiscal year and don't have an impact on our current fiscal year budget. So this is from last year's tax roll and prior.
Okay, any questions by committee members?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I just have a follow-up. This is for Sarah Silveria. Can you unmute her, please? The finance director. And just swear her in, please.
Sarah, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony that you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and title for the record.
Sarah Silveria, Finance Director.
Thank you.
Thank you, Finance Director. I just want to make sure I'm understanding. So this evening, it looks like we're going to be asked to abate approximately about $2.6 million for actually this fiscal year. Okay. So with that, how has the Finance Department accounted for now that we're going to now? It looks like we collected this revenue. Now we have to reimburse this revenue. Is that correct? So how does
yes.
how does it help? Does it help, hinder? What does it do to our finances?
So we have this reflected in our budget when we budget only for fiscal 21, we have 93.25% of our levy budgeted as revenue. So we account for these types of things to happen during the course of the year.
So then we have a buffer built into the budget, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So since we're operating basically under last year's budget, which of course is still too much expense, right? And it doesn't look like we're going to be adopting a budget until sometime next year anyway, if we do it all, at least for this fiscal year. Question is, knowing the amount of revenues we are getting and the lack of revenues, have you guys made the appropriate adjustments? Because this is a number that was accounted for during what we thought the budget was going to be, right? And now it isn't. So I'm sure the margin of error is not as great anymore, right? When you build in your,
right.
Because the budget model is different today than it was January of this year or even October, November of last year, correct?
Right. So when we were building the fiscal 21 budget, we did reduce the collection rate by a full percentage point. So I feel comfortable that we've made an adjustment to cover these abatements.
And does this further put the city in any type of financial bind or jeopardy or anything that we should be further take into account, considering what's happening to the city's revenues today and clearly what's going to happen to the end of the next year, by the end of this fiscal year? We fine?
I don't think so, and honestly, I think they're the right things to do. If there are residents who are claiming homestead and they're entitled to that, I think we owe it to them to provide that. Really.
No, I recognize we have to give the money back. We recognize that, the fact that the city has to give the money back because the city shouldn't have received it to begin with. The point is knowing that now, because the city received the money and then plugged it in their budget, right, and potentially spent this money, right, but yet the revenue sources that we traditionally thought we were going to receive aren't happening. Does it create any financial problems? I understand we have to give the money back. It's like I get that. No one's questioning why we have to give back. I'm questioning what kind of financial impact does it have on us now because we have to give it back, and then do we have to do some additional financial adjustments in the present budget scenario because of this? Versus in the typical scenario, if everything was healthy, there was no COVID, and everything was going fine, clearly you had the buffer in there. Do you understand my question?
Yes, I do, and I understand. I understand that this is a very different year. We don't have a budget. We are under strains that we've never felt before. So this is something the finance office administration looks at every week. We are looking at expenses, operating expenses. We're reviewing board of contract. We're making sure that we are not spending money that we don't need to right now, that we're monitoring our revenues that are coming in and making adjustments as needed.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions or comments, committee members?
That has her hand up.
Who does? I'm sorry.
Costa. Gina Costa.
Oh, Internal Auditor?
Hi, yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Elise, on, I think it was 49Z, there's a reference to section 21-212A in the Code of Ordinances. When I looked that up, that refers to PRA properties for the purposes of a public safety facility.
Okay, I can look into that. It should have been the reference. There was an ordinance that was passed that allowed the PRA to exempt the property and not have to go through council for approval first.
Okay. Okay.
So it's just the PRA invoking their exemption, but I'll double check that section too.
Okay, thank you.
Assessor, as a follow-up, let the record reflect that President Pro Tem Correa is present.
So noted.
Assessor, is this a state statute?
No.
Okay, so I would just ask the city solicitor just to review this and make sure we have the appropriate reference and et cetera, that's all. So, city solicitor?
Yes, I'll take care of it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right. Any other further comments or questions on these items?
No, Mr. Chair.
A motion to recommend approval?
So moved. Second.
A motion to recommend 4, 5, and 6 by Vice Chair, second by Councilman Castillo. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next and last item on the docket, item number 3, Madam Clerk. Let's take that up.
An ordinance establishing the classes of positions, the maximum number of employees, and the number of employees in certain classes in the city departments, and repealing ordinance chapter 2019-111, number 497, approved November 26, 2019, as amended.
Thank you. So, just first, I'd like to entertain a motion to substitute, and then we'll talk with a sitting of this matter. So, we can motion to substitute item 3 for 3A.
So moved. Second.
Vice Chair, second by Councilman Castillo. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So, my committee members and council colleagues, as you know, we started the journey a few weeks ago about addressing the comp classification, trying to start reworking and trying to save some money in the city's budget. We are still in this process. We're still in this journey, and the administration has been working with, I guess, our city council finance team, and they've been reworking the class position, addressing their concerns and our concerns, and et cetera. This evening is about just discussing this. And then I would like to have my committee members to review it on their, on their leisure time the next week or so. Put together some questions and stuff like that you're not sure about, and then we can get to those questions, get them answered, and then any council members also. And this way, it's a continuing, as you want to put it, a continuing review process, or I should say, a continuing process, a legislative process, i.e., a committee process of working and reworking the document. So I'd ask my committee members to let's listen to the presentation, what it says in here, the few things. You have some questions, great. But then I'd ask all of you then to take it this evening, the next week or so. Look at it, digest it, memorize it, think about it. You want changes, you want amendments. Let's get it, and then let's get that feedback the next week or so, and then we can make adjustments accordingly. I think it's important that clearly, at least from this committee's point of view, I think from the council point of view, that, and with the administration, that we're working a collaborative effort to, let's call it as, address the city's finances as much as we can sooner than later. Knowing what we know, which is, most likely we will not see a state budget, if at all. I'm talking about for this fiscal year, sometime January, February, and knowing that unfortunately the health crisis has not gone away and has continued to get exacerbated and growing. So those are all causing additional economic strains on the city's budget, of course, the state's budget and the national budget, but let's talk about city. And so we as a committee and the council, we have a fiduciary obligation to continue to keeping our eye on the finances and seeing what we all can do together, working with. Hey, there's the finance director's little son. Say hello to him, right? Working together to address these issues. Want to introduce him? Why don't we introduce? Why we're all here to help out the future of these young little guys? Hey, little guy. That's why I'm here. There he is. So now that was wonderful to see. I'm glad he was healthy. So why don't we start with that? I think is it going to be Sarah, and who's going to just talk about what's in this document a little bit, and then ask my council colleagues, then we continue the matter, and then we'll digest and review it. Okay? So
Sounds good.
I think sounds good. Does that make sense, committee members? Right?
Yes.
The idea is to work collaboratively. Treasurer, do you want to talk about what is in before us and give us some little background on it, et cetera?
Sure. If you recall, Mr. Chairman, the initial substitution on the classification ordinance had a series of all of the open and funded unfilled positions taken out. In speaking with the administration, they believe that that was restrictive when they want to rehire people, but agreed to reducing the total number of positions in all of those departments. So, for example, at this point, someone would have to leave to hire someone else. There are no new or open positions available in this budget. And when I say that, I mean there might be, one here, one there, but ultimately the $3.8 million that this committee was looking for on an annualized basis would be saved by passing this ordinance.
Okay. Then Sarah, Finance Director, you were part of this conversation. Is that correct too?
Yes, that's correct. We worked together with the treasurer and the internal auditor on this.
Can you give us your feedback on what on this proposal? Let the record one second, Madam Director. Let the record reflect that Councilman Espinal is present too.
Oh, no.
Madam Director?
Yes. Administration and finance were in agreement with the changes that are proposed here. I think it provides the management the flexibility to make changes in the department as people retire and kind of rebuild their staff. So we're happy with the proposal.
Thank you, Madam Director. So, community, do you have some general questions right now? And then and then we'll get deeper into those questionings next week. I just want to mention. Okay, so I have Councilwoman Anthony, then Councilman Taylor. Councilwoman Anthony.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I just have a really quick question. So I understand the concept. I'm very, very appreciative because I think this does address my concern about giving the department heads flexibility to make these decisions within their department. My only question is, I'm not understanding. I understand no more than the number of positions, but I'm not understanding why some of the positions are crossed out. So maybe somebody can explain that.
Sure. So those positions that are crossed out are positions that maybe we eliminated 3 or 4 years ago, and they just continue to be in the ordinance. And both the administration and us said, okay, we should clean it up better, but just while it's here, we just took those out. There is nobody in those positions. There has been nobody in those positions for years. They were either replaced with other positions. So it's a housekeeping measure. And again, the administration had agreed with all of those situations.
Thank you. That's so, thank you very much. That answers that question. Then can I also assume that, with the few that are added, that's the same thing that they should have been added a while ago, or it looks like there's a couple of additions?
So the additions should have a star next to it or some statement saying that they are federal. They can only be funded by outside sources.
Okay.
And there was 1 or 2 positions since July that may have been filled, and we really didn't want to put anybody else out on the street. So that was it. And again, by direction of the chairman, did not want to, have someone lose their job over it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much. That
You're welcome.
helps. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Chief Taylor.
Okay, so a few things. I'm a little upset that we're postponing it again. The only reason I mention is because in June, actually May, but June, you asked us all from the committee on to send some recommendations in after we heard all of the directors of each department, which I may add, when each director of, and this is the second year this has happened, because like you all, I've been on brand new, but I've been on this committee for 2 years. So every director head that came in, the chairman asked, what did the administration, what did they say? And everybody said the same thing, every director. Well, they wanted 30% reduction in all of our departments. First thing, and it happened last year, the first thing, there was no reduction in any departments, and some of the departments actually added on more people. So that was very discouraging from the administration side. As far as the department directors, they didn't show that they had one 10% reduction, let alone a 30% reduction. And then the chairman asked the committee members for our input after we heard all the departments. That was in June. Now we're in November. I understand we haven't got the budget, this part of the budget. I understand we haven't gotten the part of the what the state is going to give us. But I see positions that are in there, and I guess I will use the treasurer's words that he just used, that, and I'll focus in on the fire chief, because we all know we have not had a fire chief in 6 years. And the treasurer's words were, there was no one in the position, and there was no one in the position for years, then it was taken out. So I'd like to know, number one, why the fire chief wasn't taken out, because in February, we heard that the mayor say that there was not going to be a fire chief. We're not going to make a fire chief. And we've been paying $176,000 over the last 6 years, which equals $1 million. And then we get this updated amendment, and obviously the fire chief is in there. I don't understand why, because if we roll the clock back, as we know, November of last year, 2019, the commissioner sent a letter to the council president, Matos, saying, I discussed having a potential candidate that could be fire chief for the Providence Fire Department before December 31st, 2019. That was the letter that he gave him, that gave her to say, he wanted to appoint a fire chief, but he also wanted his pay restored. And at the end, it said, therefore, without council approval for the budget adjustment, I cannot appoint a fire chief for the Providence Fire Department, despite our mutual desire to do so. So as you know, in December of 2019, I filed an ethics complaint against that. I'm still waiting to hear on what's going on with that a year later. But obviously, it was a quid pro quo of him asking for his $40,000 and if he got that, then he had a fire chief candidate. But now a year later, we haven't heard nothing. And again, the fire chief is in the this budget, along with there's others. The deputy director of public works is in there, and I don't understand. I don't understand why we put a couple of these. I mean, I have a list. I guess I'll have to wait till next time now, because we're being postponed, to go through my list that I want taken out and these positions funded. So I can't do it now. I understand.
Chief,
don't do it now.
Chief, no. Just what I'd like you to do is this. I would like you to have whatever that list of things, get to the administration, because some of those positions they kept or wanted. Hear me out. And then next week,
you have it. I sent it to you in May.
Okay. We'll send it to them. And we'll forward it to the administration, and they can say why they would like it and not why like it next week, as well as council members can talk about what they like and don't like. So I'm just trying to keep the conversation going. So in the interest of
I understand keeping the conversation going, but in the meantime, the deputy director of public works, the way I'm listening is It will not be hired until, no one will be hired until someone has left, for example. So as we all know, this year, the Deputy Director of Public Works was fired. That position's open. I wanted that position along with other council members out. Now, the deadline was September 23rd. We keep postponing. They're going to hire someone. And according to your agreement, the administration and whoever it is, wasn't me, but they can hire this person. And there's nothing we can do about it because your language, your agreement is that if someone retires, you can't fill a position where there's nobody retired or fired. But this position is open. Person was fired and they can hire someone, as well as they can hire someone as a fire chief, but we haven't had in 6 years, which that probably won't happen anyway. I'm not worried about that one. But this deputy director one, we can hire. Doesn't make sense to hire to pay almost 6 figures when everybody is on furlough. So that person's going to come in and what? I don't get it. I don't understand how we as a finance committee let these departments come in without any reduction. We didn't say, every time we said, oh, well, the administration said to give 30%. And when we figure it out, some of these actually in human resources added like 50% positions. So I'm very upset. I will wait until the next meeting. I have questions for Larry. And I don't see why we keep postponing. I understand why we postpone it. It's a game. We'll postpone. We need to put our foot down and say, this is it. We're taking these positions out. And that's what it is. If not, the finance committee might as well be on the second floor with the administration.
Okay. Thank you.
And I do have one question, one further question that I guess I can't ask Larry. Maybe I can ask Sarah. Are we paying any temps at this point still? Today? Is it temporary employees that are working that are getting paid?
Council, 1 second, she's muted.
Oh, okay.
So she can't respond. 1 second. Finance Director, can you hear us? We can't hear you.
She's not muted on our end.
You're not muted on our end. She's trying to connect now.
And then, can you hear me now?
Yes, Director.
Okay. Sorry about that. It's my understanding that we're not paying temps, but I will look into that and get back to Gina Costa tomorrow. I'm not 100%.
Can we specifically look at the people in City Hall that are taking temperatures and people that are coming in and writing down the contact tracing to see if they are actually temporary employees?
Yes, I will do that.
Thank you.
Okay. And then Finance Director, the question about those positions, we'll make sure you get them. So this way you and Mr. Mancini can explain what, why, who, what, when, how, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, any other questions or concerns at this time? All right.
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
No, thank you.
Want a motion to continue item?
Motion to continue item 3. Second.
By Vice Chair, second by Council Castillo. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
With that, I think there's no more business before this animal committees, right?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Vice Chair, second by
me.
Councilwoman Anthony. Discussion? Remember, everybody wear purple. I'm wearing purple tonight again. And in the interest of promoting unity, right? And promoting that we all work together. You bring red and blue together. Let's make purple. Let's keep moving forward in a positive direction. That's where we're going, right? Let's think positive.
Good job.
Let's do good stuff for this city. So I'm gonna keep wearing purple until we get there. So with that, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Everybody, God bless. Be well, be safe. Thank you all. Have a great night.